Hey everybody, it's Valerie with the US Canada portion of Meant to Be Well. And I am thrilled to have our sixth speaker today for day 2 of the summit, my good friend Vickie Victorenko. Now, let me tell you guys a little bit about Vickie. She is going to be talking with us about the role of self compassion in mental health recovery and growth for mothers. Now, Vickie is joining us from Chicago, Illinois, United States. And Vickie Victorenko is a dedicated mental health therapist and a health and wellness coach with a passion for supporting moms throughout their entire journey. With a background in psychology, gerontology, and organizational behavior, Vickie brings a unique perspective to her work. Her 10 plus years of experience in human resources and applied behavior analysis, coupled with her 8 plus years of working in private practice, to working with moms in a community hospital setting, including labor and delivery, to end of life care, has equipped her to address the complex needs of humans as well as mothers at every stage. Witnessing firsthand the often overlooked gap between mental and physical health, Vickie is committed to empowering moms to thrive by nurturing the whole woman. Her passion for creating a supportive and understanding community for mothers is what births Simply Real Motherhood, where she offers guidance and encouragement to moms during this transformative time in their lives. So thank you so much for being with us today, Vickie. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you so much for having me. It is such an honor to be here on this global platform and just to be able to talk on this topic, especially with the state of mental health right now, where everything is. And I just want to welcome everyone to my portion of the presentation, and I'm excited to dive in. So, as Valerie already introduced me, so thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I just wanted to share a little bit in terms of like the background piece. Valerie, you highlighted all the different things that I have worked on, but truly one of the things that I was seeing time and time again, regardless of wherever I was working, was really just this disconnect of not treating the person as a whole person when it came to our physical wellness and our emotional mental wellness. And so what was happening is, in the private setting, we're addressing the mental emotional health, but then we're not addressing that physical health. And so often, like, it's such a it has reciprocity in how we feel. And so by seeing this time and time again, really wanted to commit to that change. And so with that said, we'll be kind of diving into the importance of compassion for moms. And so, as women, we really go through so many different changes and challenges as we transition into motherhood. Mothers, they often experience a range of mental health challenges, including like not only just postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, but there's also this new heightened stress that we experience as being caregivers. And this isn't so much only just after childbirth, but we see this as our kids become toddlers, as they, become teens and older, children and adults. And so we see this time and time again. And so there's oftentimes the self-criticism that comes with a lot of the challenges that I'm going to be talking about in a second. But these challenges of self-criticism can really exacerbate this cycle of guilt and negative self-talk, which can be really harmful towards our well-being. And so that's where self-compassion really comes in. And so as I mentioned on the slide, like the unique challenges that women face, I want to kind of go into those. And I feel like I can say so much on this, but I'll kind of highlight them. But it's really one of the big pieces is just unrealistic expectations that women oftentimes have that can lead to that burnout. Mothers feel like oftentimes they have to do it all, right? They feel like they have to, not only be like that super mom that's doing it all, they are feeling like they have to run a household, have a career, have to do mothering in a very perfect way, right? And it can lead to so much. And additionally, like women go through such tremendous changes physically, emotionally, through hormonal changes, right? Like not only during pregnancy, but directly after postpartum. As women continue to age, perimenopause happens. So like there's so many different hormonal changes that kind of keep happening that can affect us, right? And so that then can affect our mental health. Additionally, like what I was saying earlier with the societal expectations, by trying to maintain everything in like this picture perfect image, essentially what we're oftentimes seeing is that like women feel like they start to get really hard on themselves and feeling like, okay, on social media these moms are showing themselves in a certain way, and why can't I keep up? Like, am I the only one struggling? And so like that image of the perfection is not realistic, right? Then the other piece that I oftentimes see of why self-compassion, again we'll get into like the actual strategies of what you can do, but is this idea of the identity shift that happens through the process of matrescence. And so it is the process of becoming a mother, and it involves a profound transformation in our identity. And what I mean by that is mothers, they oftentimes can feel like they lost old parts of themselves and now they've become this new version of themselves. And how do you integrate both parts of who I once was, who I am now? And so because if we don't take time to really reflect on it, oftentimes it can lead to feelings of frustration, depression, anxiety, and loneliness in some ways too. Um, which then can lead to, and also just in general, social isolation and loneliness. Um, and the big piece of that is like, especially in the early days of caring for your children, you may be just, fully invested in obviously taking care of your little one. And so, with that, socialization might be reduced. And therefore, like over time, if you continue to self isolate in some ways, then what can happen is like social anxiety can creep in. Like, I haven't socialized with any adults in a long time, and like kind of getting back into it and getting practice in with that as well. Um, and then also another unique challenge for mothers is oftentimes that emotional burden of being like the primary caregiver, right? If your partner goes to work and you're home all the time, well, that may fall on you worrying all the time about all the different things: health, our kids meeting milestones, what are all the things that we need? Just exhaustion of probably sleep deprivation. Even if you have toddlers, some toddlers are still struggling with sleep, right? And so again, that can lead to burnout and so much more. And then the other unique challenge of motherhood and mental health is truly how it has that full impact on a mother's mental well being, just overall, as it trickles down to the family. So, if mothers are struggling to thrive, then, there is that profound effect and impact on potentially how you are raising your children, how you're showing up as a partner, how you are showing up in your job. And from all the research that's showing is like how we respond to our kids, like that has such a drastic effect on their emotional development too. Like, if we're not able to have self-compassion towards ourselves, we can't regulate our emotions, then we're modeling that for our kids too. So again, it's such a huge area that we need to talk about. And then the last couple of things is the unique challenge of just the stigma and the shame that exists, because so many moms feel so ashamed to seek help because they feel like they're the only ones in the trenches really struggling. Because again, people aren't talking about it. People are, sharing themselves on social media looking beautiful with their hair and makeup done and, on their walk with their babies and drinking Starbucks, right? And so the the big piece of all of this, kind of tying it together, is finally, if we can catch this and prevent it whenever a mom is starting to feel, some of these struggles, is we can prevent some of the long-term issues that can result, like long-standing, untreated anxiety disorders, long-standing depression, other health issues. Because again, if we're depressed and we have been for a really long time, then we're likely not taking good care of ourselves physically, and so we start to have other physical ailments too. So again, that's just to kind of go over like the unique challenges and why that self-compassion piece is so important. So with that said, the really big piece, hold on. Oh, the really big piece of all of this is that self-compassion comes in, and there's a definition coined by Dr. Krista Neff, who says that self-compassion involves being kind to oneself in times of suffering or failure, treating oneself with the same care and concern that one would show to a good friend. And so there's really three components to this. One is self kindness, which is instead of self judgment, responding to yourself, like she defines, with warmth instead of that, talking about your mistakes and your shortcomings constantly. The other piece is common humanity, recognizing that everyone experiences this. This is a something like nobody is exempt from having life struggles in general, and that we're not alone in this. And then lastly, having like that mindfulness piece, so really being aware of our emotions and our thoughts without getting overwhelmed by them, and then overly identifying with them as well. And so, or even just like exaggerating those feelings as well. So again, self-compassion, it really serves as an antidote to the pressure that mothers face, allowing them to pause and really be gentle with themselves rather than beating themselves up over those failures that they have. And so again, cultivating that self-compassion can really be allowing moms to be more present and supportive of themselves, and which also will then have that trickle down effect to your families too. And I want to talk about some misconceptions about self compassion, because some people might say, like, oh, well, you're just like pitying yourself, right? And it's really not that. It's not wallowing in that negativity or giving up. It's really just about responding to those difficult moments with care rather than that self criticism piece. Secondly, self compassion is not being selfish or self indulgent, because some people might say that as well, and I've heard that many times too. But really, it's taking care of oneself emotionally. Really enables mothers to then be more resilient and capable of giving to others. And lastly, it's not a sign of weakness for people. It's really about being able to promote that like emotional balance for yourself. And again, you're showing that and demonstrating that for your kids as well. So, as we continue on, like the importance of self compassion, we've kind of talked a lot about that already. But what we oftentimes can see is that it can help interrupt that cycle of self criticism. Instead of, again, internalizing our failures or setbacks, it allows mothers to respond again with understanding and really break that cycle of negativity, bounce back much faster, being able to be more resilient. And allows us to have like healthier habits. And again, like we're much more likely to seek rest. We're much more likely to seek therapy if we are more compassionate to ourselves, just establishing healthier habits. And again, like the importance of it is it allows us to shift in our family dynamic too, and practice, like, again, modeling that for our kids. Okay. And again, even for our spouses, like they might be struggling as well with things and they are beating themselves up, but like we can really demonstrate that piece too. And so, lastly, like that trickle down, like breaking that generational cycle, children, they learn through self compassion as well. And so, again, it just has such a profound, lasting impact on their development and just being more connected and authentic. So, some practical strategies we'll talk about when it comes to self compassion is really just kind of being able to step back a little bit. The very first one is that piece that I already discussed a little bit, which is treating ourselves with that same kindness that we would offer to others. My big question to you is, like, you might be beating yourself over something that happened, but can you take a pause and think about, like, what would I say to a really good friend right now? And when you pause and ask yourself that, you, instead of focusing on that self criticism, you can therefore replace it with words of self encouragement for yourself. So that's one of my very favorite easy strategies that you can implement. The other piece that you can do is journaling. It's an excellent way to practice this, writing about your feelings without judgment, following up with writing something else that's really kind and supportive about yourself, just as you would to a friend. Um, The third thing that I love to do is affirmations with people. This is a really powerful tool where like it's replacing the I'm not doing enough all the time and, again, comparing yourself to whoever, right? It's having that mindset of I'm doing the very best that I can right now with the tools and resources that I have. It's such a small thing, but it can really start to shift that mindset for you from self blame to compassion. Um, the other piece that we've already kind of mentioned a little bit is that mindfulness. It's the practice of becoming aware of our thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's allowing yourself to really be with your feelings wherever you are and not labeling them as bad, as wrong, or anything like that. It's just those are your current feelings. And so, they are in this moment and they're also going to pass. Like, this isn't a permanent state that you're going to be in. I also talk about breathing exercises. Breathing exercises can also be very grounding for people, and they can help bring you back to the present moment instead of sitting in your head. It's like getting back into your body. So there's so many different things and resources out there on that you can tap into, whether it's just on YouTube, wherever you can gain access to. There's, again, I always encourage people to bring that in as a tool. And then lastly, it's guided meditations. So again, YouTube or so many free apps and resources available out there where you can start to do just like 2 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day to, again, calm your mind and come back to that present moment. And the goal of all of this is to really create a habit of being present and gentle with yourself, even in those moments of that stress and that overwhelm. And it really encourages mothers to connect with themselves, without being critical. And that's when we connect with ourselves, we're more likely to have those conversations with other people, and then other people feel safer to share similar experiences. So we're kind of taking away some of that stigma. Like, again, we don't feel so alone. I think about it like on the playground, you might meet a mom who actually like shares a little window or insight of like what she's struggling with. And then you say like, oh, I have gone through that too, or I'm experiencing that. And you just like see their shoulders drop, like they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. And especially that can happen so often with like new moms that you can see at a playground or anywhere really. And so the last piece is really like creating that supportive network for yourself, whether it's through maybe a family friend or a friend, maybe a church, wherever you can connect with community. It's so vital. And again, like going back to that playground example, like connection truly can reduce those feelings of isolation, which can contribute to further like mental health struggles, right? So again, it's not feeling so alone in those moments. So, with regard to kind of putting everything together, one of my biggest pieces of advice is just really starting small, and being patient with yourself. It's incorporating these strategies. Throughout the day. It's not about like mastering everything at once. It's really about practicing it in the small places and spaces throughout. So if you're offering your little ones compassion, then doing that very same thing for yourself. And I just want you to remember that like this is something that is an ongoing journey. It's something that really teaches you about having grace with yourself and learning to grow along the way. This isn't something that like it's a destination for yourself, right? It's like taking it one step at a time and remembering that you are going to have the days where you might feel like you're being extra hard on yourself, or like you really struggled today with it. And it's saying that's okay. It's important that we can get back to it and we can continue and kind of start where we are right at this very moment, that not all is lost. And I also like to compare self-compassion to kind of like building that muscle. You literally don't go to the gym expecting yourself to be able to lift, 200 like press or whatever, right? Or running a marathon on your very first day. It's truly like a practice that we have to just build little by little every single day. And it is possible. So yeah, that's really that is why I think like self-compassion is super important, again, because of like that full trickle down effect to everything that it has. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today.
Oh my gosh, I love it, Vicky. I love everything you're talking about. It's so important for moms to have this self-compassion, have this awareness. It's I really, really feel like we need to talk more about this. And thank you for helping us moms realize that. Now, Vicky, I know that you have a bunch of incredible resources. You have your website that I have scrolling down here, Simply Real Motherhood, and you also are on Instagram. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
That's great. And I know that Vicky and I, we've done some local events together. So if
Mhm.
you're in the Chicagoland area, keep an eye on our social media. We do events together. And Vicky has a lot of incredible local events that she does with other moms too and lifts moms up. And I think that's just so great that you're doing that for the population.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's definitely a passion of mine, and I'm so thankful to be able to give back to other women in the community, whether local or online. And just thankful for the global platform that we have, even doing things like this. So, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Don't you think that's incredible that, well, we're both in Chicago right
Mhm.
now, but are talking to people across the globe. And I think that's so cool about the fact that we can be from other areas of the world, but still be able to have similar conversations
Yes.
despite all of the barriers to distance and all that. It's just kind of mind blowing.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I'm so excited to continue seeing the other presenters too, just because this is such an important, these are all such important topics. And so I'm really thankful for places like this and, you guys really spreading that awareness around that mental health piece, because again, it affects all of us in one way or another. Like none of us are exempt from, again, having certain feelings or situations or struggles. Like we all face something and it's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Vicki. And so next up will be Celeste. She'll be talking with us about hypnosis. So I'm interested in that topic
Oh,
as well. So
awesome.
thank you again. And everyone, be sure to check out everything that Vicki has on her platform. Either you're watching this live today or on the replay. She has some incredible information for parents and for moms. So thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful day, Vicki.
All right. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.